3 things you don't understand about automatic transmissions. I'm going to be talking about how automatic transmissions are actually fun. I'm going to be talking about how automatic transmissions are not as reliable as you think. And I'm going to be talking about how to best make use of the fuel efficiency gains from an automatic transmission. And I've got a few bits in that last section that I don't think most people understand. I'm going to have actual point of view examples to show everything that I'm talking about, and those will come throughout the video. When I talk about how fun automatic transmissions are, we are going to absolutely send this automatic transmission, 300 horsepower hot hatch. I'm in a Renault Megane RS 300, just because I get that question about 200 times per video. If this is not your first Mick Drives Cars video, make sure you click the button down below, subscribe, and if you like the video, like the video. Before we get into the things that people don't understand, I've just got to cover off some basics so that we're all on the same page. There are 3 main types of automatic transmission. You've got the dual clutch, you've got the torque converter, and you've got the CVT. They will all change gears for you, but the way they take off from a stop and the way they change between gears are slightly different across the 3. Dual clutch gearboxes are the most fun. They give you the fastest and most visceral shifts. They're also the most fragile, so they take a little bit of finessing to make sure that long term they don't get destroyed. Torque converter gearboxes are the best all around. They still can be fun, but they're also smooth. They take off very gently, they come to a stop very gently, they're not as jerky generally, but it's a slightly older technology, and although it's kind of made a resurgence in the modern day, they just feel a little soft. CVT gearboxes are a bit rubbish. They don't actually have gears, and they use the same technology as a 125cc scooter that is twist and go. They're not very reliable. I don't think anyone's ever made a good CVT. To be honest, stay away from them. The number one thing people don't understand about automatic transmissions is that they're actually quite fun. So let's jump into point of view and I'll give you some direct examples. Automatic transmissions are not boring, but to make them engaging, there's one thing you have to do. First of all, put your car in sport mode, but second of all, you've got to put it in manual mode. In my car, I just slide the stick over to the side, and now I have full control of the gears. If I floor it, the car's not going to drop down a gear. We have some tricky conditions today. It's not raining, but it rained overnight. So this road is greasy and wet. If I was to go down to second gear and floor the throttle, you get a little bit of wheel spin. It's not ideal. But because I'm in manual mode, I can control that. So if I put myself in third, I can now floor the throttle and I get full acceleration without the wheel spin. It's very similar to driving a manual because you're in control of the gears. Now, you don't have the third pedal. You don't have that last level of engagement. But especially with a dual clutch gearbox like this one, you can come into a corner, drop a gear, power through, brake for the next, power through. As it evens out, you can go full throttle. And the gearbox isn't going to drop down any gears and do any weirdness. You're in control of it. People always talk about playing a manual gearbox like a musical instrument. Look at the control I have. I want third here, maybe I want second. Let's go back down to third, fourth, third. It's actually even easier to play with the gears in an auto than it is in a manual. And you can choose your throttle response. Am I a bit worried about all the wetness? Well, I can have fourth, and if I floor the throttle, I get some acceleration, but it's not as banzai as second and third. You have so much control and engagement over how you want to drive by using manual mode. Now, if you were to just put it in auto, the car's gonna do some weird stuff. If I'm gonna put it back in drive, now it's making its own decisions about the gears. I'm going quite slowly. If I floor the throttle, you see it drops a gear. And now I'm going a little bit more banzai than I wanted to. These corners are kind of third gear corners. It's doing a good job holding third for me. But you see it just dropped to fourth when I really wanted the power. I've got a whole video on the ins and outs of using manual mode. If you click up here, you can watch that. I go really in depth on just how useful and important manual mode is. But if you want the engagement and the fun in an automatic transmission, it is imperative that you shift that lever over to the side or press the button or however you engage manual mode in your specific car, because only then can you fifth, fourth, third, second, banzai, third. So now I'm going to take it a little bit easier. I want to go full throttle and enjoy the car, but I don't want wheel spin and I don't want to get too crazy. So I'm going to stay in fourth. That's a great way to just take the edge off of that banzai nature that this car has. And we've still got good acceleration. We can still make great progress down this road, have a little bit of fun, squeeze the throttle a little bit, but we're just doing it at a slightly reduced throttle because we're in a higher gear. And this is so nice. And now I can enjoy the car a little bit more. I can play with the steering, the brakes. Let's have third for this corner. I made that gear change. The car is in manual mode. Now we've got a little bit more power coming out of here. Brake into this one. We're holding third for this corner, so we've got great power once again. And I'm just going to take the edge off, put it back in fourth. I can even go fifth and sixth if I wanted to just cruise. But it's all up to you. Now I'm doing the whole thing in fifth. Now I've got a really relaxed throttle response. I've got control of the engine sound because now I'm at lower revs. So when I put my foot down, the car actually makes more turbo noise than exhaust noise. I can spool up that turbo, lift off, hear it blow off. It's a really enjoyable experience. This is what manual mode gives you the option to do. You can control how the car drives. I'm going to have third for this corner, it's quite a tight one, and then we power through and we've got tons of power. Back down to third for this one on the brakes, power through, fourth, fifth, sixth, because I don't want to go too fast and too crazy. This is the public road. But this is what it's all about. Don't tell me that automatic transmissions are not engaging, because I've just given you a clear demonstration as to how they are. And yes, again, if you just put it in auto, it's a miserable experience. If you let the gearbox make its own decisions, you're going to hate automatic transmissions. But if you just take the effort, put that lever to the side, drop one gear, drop two gear, drop three gear, suddenly it's a musical instrument. That's why automatic transmissions are fun and are engaging. And that is the case for torque converters. The ZF8 speed is actually really good in this sense. It's very responsive when you change gears yourself. Or dual clutch boxes like this one. This is a particularly good dual clutch box, I'll be fair with that. But they are fun, they are engaging, and you can absolutely enjoy them and interact with them on a back road. The second thing people don't understand about automatic transmissions is that they are not bomb-proof. You need a little finesse when driving an automatic transmission, depending on the type you have. Torque converter automatics and CVT automatics don't really care hugely about how you drive them, but we've got to talk specifically about dual clutch, DCT, PDK, DSG, all the acronyms that ultimately result in two clutches that allow your automatic transmission to work. This car has one such gearbox, and I've got some direct examples about how you need to be careful with dual clutches on the road. Let me show you. So automatic transmissions are not as idiot-proof as you might have hoped. There is a little bit of skill and finesse to making sure that you're not wearing out your dual clutches or your torque converter or anything else that you might have. I'm going to give you some direct examples of what not to do and what to do. So dual clutches are a little tricky when it comes to moving off from a stop. If I come to a perfect stop and I just lift up off of the brake pedal, the car will start to move. But the problem is the car hasn't really engaged the clutch pack properly. All it's doing at the moment is slipping the clutch. And creeping like this without your foot on the accelerator is really bad for the car. And especially dual clutch boxes. When you move off from a complete stop, you need to use a bit of throttle to make sure that the clutch pack is actually engaged and you're not just slipping it. This is one of the biggest reasons why dual clutches don't tend to last as long as they should, because people don't understand the correct way to drive them. This is especially important on hills, because if say you're in traffic on a hill and all you're doing is lifting up off of the brake in order to get moving up the hill, you are going to half the life of your transmission and especially the clutch pack by doing so. It's really bad, especially in a dual clutch transmission. What you want to do is, as I'm going to show you, you don't have to be aggressive, you don't have to do it quickly, but you just need a little throttle to make sure that clutch pack is engaged. The same is true to a lesser extent in the torque converter automatics too. A lot of people seem to think that torque converters don't really wear, but they do, and a torque converter replacement is a very expensive proposition. So what you want to make sure is, very similarly to a dual clutch automatic, you just want to use the throttle to get you moving and not creep in traffic by just lifting off of the brake. Also be very careful with an auto in traffic. Every auto I've driven has a tendency to leave the car in second when you're in stop and go traffic like this. You have to get down to about 3 or 4 miles an hour before it will finally click over to first. Be very careful of this, because if you're in second in stop and go traffic bumper to bumper, you're going to be slipping the clutch an absolute ton, or the torque converter, to get moving. But this is really, really bad for the transmission. If you're on a hill and you're creeping along in bumper to bumper traffic and you're in second and you don't use the accelerator in the way that I've described, you are going to decimate your clutch pack or torque converter. I understand why manufacturers do this. It makes the drive a lot smoother, but it reduces the life of your clutch pack or your torque converter. So what's more important to you, a slightly smoother drive, or do you want your car's transmission to last longer? I know which one I'd choose. Now, there's a debate to be had here, because a lot of people don't understand this. They just buy a car and they think it's an auto. They think all autos are the same, and then they don't drive correctly to drive around these issues. And then there is this perception that dual clutches are unreliable and expensive to maintain, because after 60,000 miles or so, you need a clutch pack replacement or a mechatronics unit replacement or whatever the part might be. This is simply not the case. If you just drive the transmission correctly as it's supposed to be driven, it will go a lot further. That's the truth with dual clutches especially, but also the torque converters. Now, CVT transmissions have their own kettle of fish when it comes to reliability. The issue with CVTs is generally, I don't think there's a single CVT out there that's been designed well and designed to last the test of time. There's some Toyota ones, like the one in the Prius. Just stay away from the CVTs. If there's one thing I want people to take away from this video, it's that not all automatic transmissions are made the same. And it's very important to understand what type is in your car or in the car you're looking to buy. And based on what type it is, you can learn to drive it better. The third thing people don't understand about automatic transmissions is why they get good fuel economy and how to best exploit this. Once again, this is best explained on the road, so let me take you out for a drive and show you what that looks like. Automatic transmissions will almost always be in the correct gear for fuel efficiency. Let me give you an example. I'm coming up to this roundabout. The car's just gone from 6th to 3rd. Watch it go up the gears. 4th, 5th, 6th. The majority of manual drivers will never get to 6th gear at like 40 miles an hour. It's just not something you would naturally do. But an auto will always put you in the most efficient gear when you're driving it in normal mode. So you'll get better fuel economy. Right now I'm cruising at 40 miles an hour in 6th gear, and I'm probably sipping the tiniest amount of petrol possible. I'm gonna come up to this roundabout, I'm on the brakes, 5th, 4th, it's decided 4th is the best gear there, and I have a lovely smooth response. It's already gone up to 5th. No manual driver would have ever done that. Now I'm going to make my little maneuver around this roundabout. It's already up into 4th. No manual drivers change into 4th on the middle of a roundabout. It's already up to 5th. It's just at all times, it's just notching me up a higher cog. It's already in 6th at 39 miles an hour. No manual driver, no matter who you are, is putting themselves in 6th at this speed. It's just, you're just not. You're holding 5th or you're holding 4th. And this is why automatic cars are more efficient. They're just always going to put you in a better gear than you would have put yourself in. Not because people are bad drivers, but just because it doesn't feel natural to be in such a high gear at this kind of speed. The engineers know what they're doing, and they have tuned these gearboxes to be in the most efficient gear at every speed. And the most efficient gear for 32 miles an hour is 5th, even though that would feel very unnatural in a manual car. These people know about cars more than we do. They understand gearboxes better than we do. So as we know, on the motorway, driving at a steady speed, one of the biggest contributors to fuel economy is your RPM. The lower your RPM is, the better for your fuel economy. Now there's a lot of other things that impact fuel economy, like the mechanics of your engine, the aerodynamics of your car, and a lot of other stuff too. But RPM makes a big impact, and therefore your gearbox makes a big impact on the fuel economy at steady speeds. So that means longer gearing is better for fuel economy, plain and simple. This car has a relatively acceptable gearing of about 2,500 RPM at 70 miles an hour. Some cars, like the ZF 8-speed in that M235i, should it be an auto, has 8 gears, and the tallest 8th gear will put you at 1,800 RPM at 70 miles an hour on the motorway. That's one of the big reasons why BMWs generally get really good highway or motorway fuel economy, is because of that ZF 8-speed gearbox that has a really tall 8th gear. That's one of the big benefits of an automatic transmission. Oftentimes they can have 7 or 8 gears, and the gears will be taller. And it just means less RPM and better fuel economy. Now you can have very tall manual gearboxes. Mustang is a good example of one where you might be spinning about 2,200 RPM at 70, and that is fantastic. The downside of that is you have 6 gears. So if you've got a really tall 6th, naturally all the other gears are going to have to be a little bit taller for normal spacing between the gears. That then results in a lack of acceleration and a lack of the car feeling fast, because it doesn't have short, snappy gearing to give really good acceleration. I hope you enjoyed this video, found it useful, learned something. I have a whole series of 3 things you don't understand videos on various aspects of sporty and everyday driving, from the steering to the brakes to all other aspects of the car. And I've got a few more in the works as well, actually. So either go and watch one of the other videos or subscribe for the new ones if you've seen them all already. I appreciate you if you've made it this far in the video. Thank you for watching. YouTube seems to think you're going to really like this video specifically. You should probably watch it. It's probably quite good. Probably by me. You want to click it? I'll wait. Okay. Bye.